Jack, I never thought I'd see you again.
You know me?
You don't remember. Your name, your skills. Everything you know, you learn from me.
Welcome back to the Metal Gear Rising: The Complete Story. In this short video series, we're explaining Raiden from Metal Gear Rising and his backstory better to you. We're also explaining how this story links into the entire Metal Gear story. In this episode, we're going to cover what happened in Metal Gear Solid 4 and the linking events up to Metal Gear Rising. Next week, we'll finally explain the Metal Gear Rising game itself. So here's our usual disclaimer. All information has been gathered from playing the games, the graphic novels, and the Metal Gear Solid wiki. When we last left off, Raiden had his new cyborg body, and they were unable to reverse all the damage done. He decided he would never live a normal life again, and disappeared for a while. We wouldn't hear from Raiden again until 2014 during Liquid Ocelot's insurrection. It was while Solid Snake was in South America that Raiden would call him on a codec to warn him about an enemy PMC ambush. During this talk, he would officially say he is no longer Jack, and he would fill Snake in on how he had been working with Ava's group. Solid Snake would continue his mission until contacted again by Raiden. This time, Raiden would assist Snake in finding Naomi, using his new tracking abilities he learned while in Alaska. It was when Solid Snake and Naomi were trying to escape by helicopter that Raiden got to finally show off his insane new cyborg ninja skills. This is the first time that we got to see just how enhanced Raiden had become as he takes down multiple geckos that were easily too much for our aging Snake. Eventually though, after killing many geckos, far too many of them showed up, and they were finally able to restrain Raiden. A villain from the Big Shell incident then shows up, Vamp. Vamp stabs Raiden repeatedly with a combat knife, and tastes his artificial white blood. Vamp comments on how Raiden is apparently now immortal, and Raiden tells him, "I simply don't fear death." As Solid Snake and Naomi are fleeing in a helicopter, Snake takes a decisive shot and breaks the tethers holding Raiden down. Raiden proceeds to get into a massively epic fight with Vamp. The two of them proceed to inflict massive injuries on each other, but it ends with Raiden proving his point. His point being that he in fact did not fear death, as he proceeds to impale himself with his own sword, stabbing Vamp at the same time. The two of them collapse from their massive wounds, but Raiden uses the last of his strength to jump onto a helicopter hovering overhead. You know, the one that Snake and Naomi were on. They help him on board, and all three escape the area. Raiden would spend days in recovery, coming close to death multiple times. Naomi would decide that the only way to save Raiden would be to give him a blood transfusion, but he needed that special artificial white blood. While on a mission in Europe, Snake and Naomi would get the blood needed for Raiden's transfusion, and he would begin to make a recovery. As he was beginning to feel even the slightest bit better, he insisted on joining Snake on a mission to Shadow Moses. He would express his desire to break free from the Patriots' control and the things that they had done to his life. This would cause him to break down emotionally as he began to defend his reasoning. Snake would console Raiden and refuse his request to help. He urged his friend not to take the same path that Snake had taken. Disregarding Snake's refusal, Raiden eventually joined Snake in the Shadow Moses incident anyway, saving him from a suicidal gecko. He would rescue Snake from Vamp once again, and after a few more fights between the two of them, Raiden would emerge victorious. It would then take a suicidal Naomi to finish off Vamp, as she used the nanomachine suppressors to keep Vamp from coming back to life again. Using the suppressors, though, would also kill herself, as the nanomachines were keeping her cancer cells at bay. Snake and Raiden would begin to flee the island using a supply tunnel, which would cause the two of them to become separated by debris falling on Raiden. Raiden would have to cut off his own right arm to eventually catch back up to Solid Snake. But thankfully he did, as Liquid Ocelot was about to crush Solid Snake with an entire warship known as Outer Haven. Raiden would jump between Snake and Outer Haven, and using his enhanced strength, he would hold back the warship long enough for Snake to escape. Sadly though, once Raiden's strength finally gave out, he found himself being crushed by the warship. He would scream Rose's name as he recalled the memories of their time together, before eventually losing consciousness. His body would be recovered though, and even a warship crushing him would not be enough to stop Raiden. Raiden would show up once more to save Snake again. with his vocal box destroyed, his arms ripped off, and wielding his sword between his teeth. He shows up to save Snake once again after he's being overwhelmed by an enemy. He used lightning-like powers as his body was shorting out to disable all of the soldiers. Raiden would tell Snake to stay behind so he could finish Snake's mission and upload the Fox Alive virus, but Snake wouldn't have it. He told Raiden to live his life. Raiden would stay behind to keep the soldiers from following Snake. He would fight off numerous amounts of them, but eventually his wounds would take him, and he would be against far too many soldiers. As he was backed against the wall and about to be finished off finally, the virus would go through and turn off all of the soldiers' internal nanomachines, incapacitating them. Their mission complete, Raiden would be sent to a hospital to finally recover. It was here that Raiden would be fitted with a new cybernetic body that had artificial skin to give him a more human-like appearance. After his surgery, Rose would arrive with her son, but Raiden would ignore them both, thinking that it was Campbell's child. It was at this time that Rose explained everything. She was actually a spy for the Patriots against Raiden at the beginning, but she fell in love with him. When she became pregnant with their child, she was concerned about what the Patriots would do, so she lied about a miscarriage. She then married Campbell, but it was only a ploy so that she could claim the child was Campbell's. This way, the Patriots couldn't use Raiden's child against him. She did the fake miscarriage and the marriage to Campbell all for Raiden, so that the Patriots couldn't use either of them against him. Shocked by this news, Raiden forgave Rose and embraced her and his son. He expressed how he felt that this was a scene from Beauty and the Beast, but she would reassure him that he was no beast, but her husband. Raiden then vowed to be done running, and Rose told him that she was no longer afraid. It all seems like a happy ending for Raiden, doesn't it? Well, following the end of the war economy, Raiden tried to return to a normal civilian life with his wife and child. During this time, he tried his best to look as normal as possible, but the technology behind his artificial skin was imperfect and looked a little unnatural. He also continued to suffer from paranoia, stemming from being manipulated by the Patriots for so long. His appearance caused him to be ostracized by society and made securing employment very difficult in a world where the war economy had ended. Eventually, Raiden would decide to return to the military sector, seeking non-combat pay in a non-combat position so that he could provide for his family. Next week, we'll finish this short series of videos explaining what happened to cause the events of Metal Gear Rising. I hope you guys enjoyed our little bit of a recap of Metal Gear Solid 4. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and check out our other complete stories like BioShock, Kingdom Hearts, Zelda, and Assassin's Creed. You like the pauses there? I had to think of them as we're going. My brain's not working. It's rather late at night. Thank you for joining me at this really late time at night. Join us over at the Let's Play channel. See you guys later.